Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Al-Farizi Pratama. So today we will learn about SLAAC or Stateless Address Auto Configurations in English. Okay, first, introductions IPv6 GUA excitement. Before discussing SLAAC in more depth, we must first understand the concept of Global Unique Address or GUAs and Link Local Addresses or LLAS. So for Global Unique Addresses and Link Local Address, we have learned from the previous material about IPv6 or specifically in this session, but let's discuss it again. Okay, first IPv6 host link local address. An IPv6 link local address is an IPv6 address automatically generated by the host when the interface is active. The host uses ICMP-v6 router advertisement or RA message from the router to obtain information. So simply, an IPv6 link local address is automatically generated by the host when the interface is active. So the host uses ICMP-v6 router advertisement or RA message from the router to obtain the information. Next, the definitions of stateless or SLAAC. SLAAC or Stateless Address Auto Configurations is a system or protocol that does not store state information from previous communications. No device or server records or manage the communications of the state. Okay, the stateless or SLAAC protocol is a system that does not store state information from previous communications. No device like server to record or manage the communications of the state. Okay, here is a structure of dynamic GUA. In stateless, there are SLAAC only and SLAAC with DHCP-v6, and in stateful, we have DHCP-v6 server. For the stateless, like I said, stateless or SLAAC is no device or server to record or manage the communications of the state. So here for the stateless is not using server. And then for the stateful, this configurations using the server. That's it, the difference between stateless and stateful. So in this material, we will learn about SLAAC only, and then for SLAAC with the DHCP-v6 and the DHCP-v6 server, we will learn in the next material. Okay, for the SLAAC only is stateless address auto configurations. The router sends RA or router advertisement message to provide IPv6 addressing informations, which include networks, prefix length, default gateway, and then host creates its own GUA address, automatic and fast without the DHCP-v6 assistance. So SLAAC only is a protocol that uses router advertisement message to provide IPv6 address informations like network, prefix length, and then default gateway. So the host creates its own GUA address. So it creates its own without the DHCP assistance. Different with the DHCP-v6 server, the stateful configurations or the DHCP-v6 server, the server provides, record, and manage all IPv6 address information to the client and include network, default gateway, prefix length, and DNS used in large networks such as for domain set configurations. So the difference between the DHCP-v6 or stateful configurations and SLAAC or stateless address auto configurations. The DHCP-v6 server or stateful configurations is used for large networks configurations such as domain configurations. So that's why here the DHCP-v6 asks for additional thing, namely DNS server, in contrast with SLAAC only, which is only have network, prefix length, and then default gateway. Next, SLAAC with the DHCP-v6. Okay, simply, this SLAAC with DHCP version 6 is combinations between SLAAC and DHCP version 6 or stateless and stateful combinations. So, this protocol creates its own host address like SLAAC and then requests additional information such as DNS, NTP, and each other like DHCP version 6 server or stateful configurations, and the server only provides additional information, does not manage or log IP version 6 clients like SLAAC or stateless configurations. And then here RA packet message. So RA or router advertisements is an ICMP package sent by a router to a local area network or LAN to provide IPv6 addressing informations. And here are characteristic or symbol of stateless, combinations, and then stateful. The A symbol for address auto configurations or stateless, and O symbol for other config flag or combinations, and then M symbol for manage address configurations or stateful. And here is RA package combinations. For SLAAC only, the A is symbol by 1 and O is 0, M is 0. Why? Because A is address auto configurations, so the SLAAC is stateless auto configurations. That's why the A is 1. That means is auto configurations is active in this protocol. And then SLAAC with the HTTP version 6, A is 1, O is 1, and M is 0. Why? Because A for SLAAC, here the SLAAC with the HTTP, SLAAC is on, and then other configurations is on, but the manage or stateful configurations is off because it doesn't manage or log IPv6 clients. That's why the M is 0. For DHCP version 6, M is 1 and O is 0 because DHCP version 6 is a stateful configurations. Okay, next is RS package to RI package. RS or router solutions is a request package from a host to a router to send IPv6 configurations informations. Okay, here's the picture. For example, the router is asked for RS message to the host, and then host send RS message to router, and then the router return the RS message to host with RI message. Okay, for example, here the router asks for IPv6, and then the PC is sent IPv6, and then router send it back to the host with RI message. Next is process to generate interface ID. Number 1 is randomly generate, created randomly and uniquely. So basically for randomly generate is a gacha system because it's created randomly without any settings. And then for EUI64, it's combined with a host interface ID or MAC address, enter the hexadecimal number like FFFE in the middle of the IPv6 address. So different with randomly generate, this one is more organized. Last is duplicate address detections. Listen to this one. In a stateless network, host can verify that a newly created IPv6 is valid or unique, and the DEAD process is used by host to make sure that IPv6 GUA are unique. To perform DEAD, the host sends an ICMP-v6 neighbor solicitations or NS message with a specially designed multicast address called a solicited multicast address node. If no device responds with NA message, then it can be confirmed that IPv6 was created is unique and can be used. But if someone responds, then the address is not unique, and a current is created back to generate a unique address. Simply, the DEAD or duplicate address detections is a detection system for IP-6 to make sure the IP-6 is valid and unique and no one other have same IP-6. Okay, so that's it for material in PowerPoint. So we gotta go to implementations in Cisco Packet Tracer. Okay, we already in Cisco Packet Tracer, so let's set up the topology. Okay, here the topology is ready. Let's configure the SLAAC configuration or stateless configurations. Okay, for auto configurations, it's easy because it's automatically created when the interface is active. So this is no shutdown. Okay, and then we can add IP address 2001 and then dbh and then 10 and then 1 and /64. Okay, I forget this is IP-6. I'm sorry. Okay, IP-6 address. Okay, and then in the PC automatic it doesn't appear because here we should type like IP-6 unicast routing. Okay, the IP-6 is automatically appear when we type IPv6 unicast routing. So that's it for the configurations of SLAAC. So this is randomly, not like here in the configurations is randomly like 2001 db8 10 0 205 5EFF9. It's randomly is. We can ping here, ping for the default gateway db8 and then 1. Okay, this reply from, that's mean the configurations is successful. Okay, that's it. I think that's enough for the material of SLAAC or stateless auto configurations, and for stateful like the DHCP-6 server and the DHCP-6 with SLAAC we will learn in next material. Okay, so that's all I can say, and I really apologize for any shortcoming and mistakes. I hope my video is helpful for you, and then thank you for your attention. I will take my leave. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.